Let's see if it's working. All right. They are propagating.
Good.
All right. We are live on three destinations. Okay. One out of four. All right. So Instagram not working. Oh, well. Just put it into that. The other two are still coming up. Hello, everyone. See if it, the rest of them are propagating. Nobody ever said this was a simple process.
Yeah.
Okay. Still waiting for LinkedIn, but we'll start in just a second.
Don't worry, LinkedIn will send you 20 emails about it. Your friends want you on LinkedIn.
So, good day, everyone. Hi, I'm Angela Fobbs, the Democrats Abroad Global Black Caucus Chair. And I'm here today with Kendra Bogan, the Global Voter Assistance Champion. How are you today?
I'm good. Sunny day in the Netherlands, so it's hard to complain. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. It is a sunny day here in Germany also, and it's getting ready to be hot, 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 hot for the next few days. So I've been trying to enjoy the outdoors while I can. You're here today, Kendra, to talk about our Global Voter Assistance Program. How did it get started?
Yeah, well, we've all been, at least here in Europe, and I'm sure globally at different times, been in lockdown for several months, or locked mostly inside. And we've had to transition a lot of what we do to the internet. And generally speaking, as a Democrats Abroad Country Committee, we'd be running voter assistance drives. But what I've realized over the last couple cycles is that fewer and fewer people actually show up to like an in-person drive to get help. They know how to reach out on the telephone, through email, through the internet. And now that we're all using this technology, this Zoom, they more and more are able to get online and get assistance that way. Democrats Abroad has always had a help desk. If you go to votefromabroad.org, there's a help desk there. You can email them, and one of our many volunteers around the world will help answer those questions as soon as possible. Usually they try to do within 24 to 48 hours. But then I had this idea, we could just do this on Zoom. We could have like a weekly drop-in. Originally, it was just going to be for my country committee of the Netherlands. And then I started thinking in EMEA, Europe, Middle East, and Africa, our region, because those time zones make sense. And then I just thought, go big or go home. Let's help anyone all around the world. And I reached out to my colleagues in Asia Pacific, colleagues in the Americas, and everyone's like, yeah, we all were kind of thinking about doing this same thing. Lots of different countries are already thinking about it. Lots of different volunteers are thinking about it. So I just decided to put it to work and try to collaborate and get all of our efforts together, because as we know, stronger together moving forward to get Joe Biden and many, many, many Democrats elected in November.
Wow, that's really great. It's so great that we're all collaborating on this great enterprise to help people with their problems that they have with requesting their ballot, or if they're just not sure about something. Is this service only in English, or do you have support for other languages?
So right now, obviously our main language is English, but I've been working with the Hispanic Caucus and some of our volunteers, especially in Latin and South America, who speak Spanish. So we're hoping to have Spanish, but we're also reaching out to our volunteers and saying, hey, do you speak a second language? We're hoping real soon to be able to communicate that some volunteers have a second language, have Korean, have Chinese as a second language, Japanese, and of course, definitely Spanish. And maybe we can help our volunteers, our voters around the world who's, they've been embedded so long. Maybe they were kids in the U.S. and they grew up abroad, and English isn't as strong as their language in the countries they live in. So we're hoping our volunteer base, who are multilingual, can help as many American voters around the world.
Great. And what day does this take place?
So we'll be there every single Sunday until Election Day. Until November 1st is our last Sunday. And it's 24 hours. So Eastern, midnight to midnight Eastern US time. But obviously that means a different time around the world. It starts at 4 p.m. in New Zealand and it ends at 9 p.m. in Vancouver, Canada. in the relative time zones, but it's 24 hours from midnight to midnight Eastern on every Sunday.
Wow, that's really, really great. Have you had a lot of people take you up on this?
Yeah, we're just kind of we've been soft launching it for the last 2 weeks, making sure we understand our processes. All of us, there's a lot of people who know how to do voter registration. We know how to help people. But it's a little bit different when you're trying to work with technologies that are kind of newer to a lot of people, making sure that we understand how those work as well, and making sure we're all ramped up and staffed up. This is an idea that I just threw together like 6 weeks ago, and over 100 other volunteers have stepped up to help out. It has been incredible. Everyone wants to work really hard to get out the vote this year, especially. And people are just like, yep, I want to do it. I don't, they might not know technology. They might not even know how to assist voters. We're willing to help train people as well. I got a team of people willing to train people and get them out the door. Because the most common problems that we're seeing so far is just, first-time voters who don't know what U.S. address they need to use, which, as we know, is either the last address that you lived at or the last address your parents lived at if you were moved abroad when you were a kid, if you were born abroad. That's probably the number one question we're getting asked. Or long-time voters who have been away from the States for a while, but, they need to still be able to vote. They have the federal right to vote in federal elections. So they're like, you know what? This is the year we have to vote. Like, people feel disconnected from their own country sometimes, but we know, you still have the right to vote, and people are really coming out of the woodworks. And they're also asking, like, I don't know where I vote. I haven't lived in the U.S. in 40 years. What's my voting address? Or I don't get mail there, or the house has been destroyed. These are the common questions we get. And it's always the last place you live, because that just links you to your district. And I will answer those questions for the next 14 Sundays, Wow. But yeah, we've had a few people, and as we start to promote it a bit more, things like this and global promotion, then we're hoping to help as many people as we can. Yeah.
Okay, great. Yeah, my husband had a little difficulty trying to register this year because the last place he lived in the States was a military base. And it's gone now. So yeah, definitely people have issues. Most of them are probably simple, aren't the answers are pretty simple.
Go ahead, sorry.
If you have any complex questions, where do you guys try to answer them there, or do you have an advanced support team that comes in?
Yeah. So what we've done is people are kind of trained on 2 levels. We think that most people can answer 90% of the questions with very little training, because it is the same kind of common questions over and over again. And then there's that last 10%, and that comes with experience, that comes with learning stories. We have what we call level 1, level 2 volunteers. And level 2 volunteers are maybe people who've done it a few cycles, lived abroad a while, they know those weird questions. But we also inform everyone, if we can't answer your questions, we will elevate you to that Vote from Abroad help desk, which is what we're calling sort of level 3 volunteers, the people who really know all these really bizarre questions. I had a new one the other day, actually, and it was all about if you have a power of attorney, like somebody said, oh, but do I have a power of attorney? Does that mean I get to vote for my mother or my father, whatever? And of course the answer is no, you don't. That's there. But that it's, we understand that people might have this question. It's like, I hold their legal power of attorney. And that's a question I didn't know the answer to until I was talking to one of my colleagues who encountered that on the help desk from Vote from Abroad. People just wondering what their rights are, what the possibilities are. I'm trying to think of what are the other more unique questions I've had over the years. People that were, say, born in a hospital in the U.S. That was a very unique question, and that was their voting address, is the hospital they were born at.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Their parents
that's
actually
amazing.
Their parents lived in Canada, but they were born in that hospital. So it's those little things. And this person that called in last week, who they're actually in Germany there, and their 2 daughters are at university. Their son is a first-time voter. Where do they vote? What are their voting addresses? But the daughters who are at university are back with them in Germany right now because their schools are going to be online. And so that was it. It's like the son votes at the mom's address back in the States, but the 2 daughters, since their last residence were their university towns, that's where they vote. So, I can understand where you're confused. It's like 4 people in a household voting at different addresses.
Wow. Okay, that's incredible, but that is the life of an expat for sure. that we all have a variety of experiences, and we can have people voting. Yes, I mean, my husband and I, of course, we vote in different states.
Yeah.
Yeah, he votes in Florida, in Pennsylvania, and I vote in Florida. So
Yeah.
it's where we both last lived.
Yeah.
Is there any other information that might be helpful for people to know about this voter assistance?
Well, if you need help yourself, we'll be there any Sunday. I would say do it sooner than later, as we know there are postal issues, but you can always find us at democratsabroad.org/global_voter_assistance. And we hope that we'll be able to pop that in there. And you can just click on the individual dates and it will give you details on how to get into the Zoom room, as we've been affectionately calling it. If you want to help out and you need to get trained, we can help you with that. Reach out to us and we can get you trained. Or if you already have a lot of voter registration experience, we'll get you certified and get you in helping other voters. As we know this year, the number one question, besides not knowing where they have to vote, is how do I get my ballot and how do I return my ballot? We're really concerned, obviously, about the postal system and be able to get ballots or return ballots. And we're lucky here in Europe, but I mean, we at least have postal systems with severe delays, but there are places in South America that they have to send it by DHL to get it back, so do not delay. Like, get your ballot now. It's coming September 19th, before September 19th, you'll probably get it in your spam folder. Look for that, because going forward, that's the kind of common question I would get typically with voter registration is, I said I wanted it by email, but I didn't get it. And it's like, hey, look in your spam folder. And they're like, oh, there it is. So be vigilant, stay strong, be proactive, request your ballot, make sure it gets here, make sure it gets returned, follow up with your Board of Elections, follow up with your local elections officer, and just stay vigilant. That's really what the message I want to get out to people. And if you have any questions, come talk to us. We're here to help.
Yes, September 19th is ballot delivery day. So that is a day you can mark on your calendar. And if you've asked for your ballot to be delivered by email, which they should be able to do in all 50 states, be sure it'll come on that day sometime. Okay, it won't come in the morning if you live in EMEA or Asia Pacific, but it will come probably in the evening, because of course they're sending it out when they get to work, not when we're waking up. So don't worry. Also, don't just check your spam folder, but also check your promotions folder if you have Gmail. A lot of times important mail that Gmail decides is a promotion or an advertisement, and it's not, goes into that space too. So be sure to look. If you don't have it, then please email your local elections office and let them know that you didn't get it. I mean, because it could be that they just hadn't sent it out yet, or something, because I think they have all day to do it. So it's definitely going to be on a different time run than what we are necessarily.
I usually check, just one last bit on that. I usually check with my elections officer. Now, I've contacted them and said, hey, I'm all set, right? You're going to deliver my ballot by September 19th. You have all my information. They're like, yep, you're all set. And then luckily the state of Alaska is actually pretty good for communicating, but definitely always ask, always check, always call, always follow up.
Yeah, definitely. And some states you can check these things online. I vote in Florida, and they have a website, a web portal set up, and it's not blocked from overseas, which I don't know if that's good or bad, but it's not. And I can tell really down to that they've got my request for my ballot, when they're going to send it, that they've sent it, when they receive my ballot back, because unfortunately I have to mail it back in Florida, postal mail. And that my vote counted. So there's a lot of different ways depending on the state. You mentioned the training to be a voter assistance officer. Is that difficult? Can anybody do that?
I think it's pretty straight ahead. For like I said, for that level 1, pretty key little things to get to level 1 certification. And I think most people can get it, because it's actually not that complicated. What's complicated is that each state has slightly different rules about deadlines and what you can do and what you can't do, what kind of ballots you get based on how long you've been abroad or your intention to return or not. Those are the little details. But the good news is we've trained all of our volunteers that it's okay if you don't know the answer. You just put your hand up and say, is there someone else that knows this answer? And probably somebody else is there to help assist. There's going to be several people in the Zoom room at all times to help each other out. It's not about knowing everything, but a lot of people can know most things in a very little effort.
So once you take your voter assistance training and you get a little certificate or something, right?
So for level 1, we have a certification exam. To get to level 2, we actually ask people to go to the FVAP, SVAP, and get the VAO training there, which is both. They have a military version and a civilian certification as well. That's like step 2 to get the level 2 training, which just really reinforces it. So we have our own certification quiz that we've come up with, and we want everyone to be VAO certified, which we think just kind of gives a little bit more credibility to the services that we give people.
Yeah, okay. Well, great. And if somebody wanted to volunteer for this, let's say they've done all these things, how do they get on the team?
Yeah, they can email me at chair@democratsabroad.nl for Netherlands, because I'm the chair of the Netherlands, and just say, hey, I'd really like to assist, and we'll get them in the pipeline. We'll get them working. Or they can contact their country chairs if they're in a country committee of Democrats Abroad, and they can talk to them and they can put them in touch with me as well.
Okay. All right. Well, this has been really fascinating. I'm so glad that you and your team are doing this. It's a service that a lot of people need. So please, if you need help, don't hesitate. Go to the Global Voter Assistance on Sunday, or there's always, if you're at votefromabroad.org, you can click on the red help bubble at the bottom, and someone will answer your question also. So there's myriads of ways to obtain help. There's no reason not to vote. Don't let little petty issues stop you, or serious issues, or if you think it's a serious issue. I don't want to diminish people's problems. No. But don't let something that could potentially just be, you just need a quick answer to solve it. This is a very important election, and everyone needs to vote. It's our right as a citizen. This August is Voting Rights Month. We have a lot of voting rights activities going on, including the 100-year centennial of women's suffrage, which is pretty exciting for women. Should be exciting for men too, but you know, I can't say what will be exciting for men. I mean, I can't. I'm not a man. Yeah, we have coming up tomorrow the 55th anniversary of the Voting Rights Act of 1965. And also at the end of the month on the 28th, we have the 57th anniversary of the March on Washington, where Martin Luther King gave his probably most famous speech, I Have a Dream. So please stay tuned with us. We'll be here just about every day, and we've got some exciting topics that pertain to voting and voting rights. Exercise your right. It is your right. Don't let anyone stop you. U.S. citizens outside of the United States can go to votefromabroad.org and request an absentee ballot. It only takes a few minutes, and you can actually, for many, I think, well, how many states is it? Like 27 states, you can do a digital signature and just send it.
To return it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's 26. You can email it back. There are 5 other states where you can fax it back in. So yes. There are 31 states that you can, let's say, electronically transmit it back. But we are also working with, call your governors, and if you're one of those states that you can't, Democrats Abroad is trying to encourage those governors to pass executive orders that allow Americans to transmit their ballot back to their election officials to ensure that they can get their votes in and votes counted.
Yes. Yes. So there's things are constantly moving, but definitely we've got 32 states that you can electronically transmit your ballot request. If you don't, on the states that only accept a fax, there are several online fax programs so that you could just scan in your document, and then you don't actually need a fax, just scan in the document, put it in the app, and then put the number in, and off it goes. So there's no excuses. We got you covered on all fronts. Whatever you need help with, we're here to help you. Thank you so much, Kendra, for joining me today. And everybody else, thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Thanks, Angela. You're the best.
Thanks. Have a great day, everybody.
You too.
Bye.